It is time. It is time to make more trees. Look at this. I'm supposed to get through here. Camera is at chest level. I run into one branch. I run into more branches. I have to duck under. My goodness. And then look at this. This one. And then over here, look at this. This wire is holding this branch up. And this wire is at head level. Yep. And then this branch is about to grow out. It's time to make more trees from the branches. Now, this morning, I had to lift the apple tree up because the apple tree was over here blocking the pathway. Hello, little bunnies! Yep, they're eating the greenery that's coming up through the cracks of the pathway. Anyway, so I had to tie this tree back in order for it to grow up as opposed to sideways so that I can get through. I've got to see this. This is its shoulder height. And then this. So this is what I'm going to do today. You see this? Seriously, guys, come on. Now, remember earlier this year, basically in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 months ago, 6 months ago, something like that, I made new trees. And, well, it's time to do it again. So, I have all the things necessary. I have a serrated knife. Now, I don't need to use one this big, but I couldn't find my smaller one. So, oh well, I'm just going to have to be very careful with this one. And then I have got my soil. This is my composted soil. This is what my soil looks like from the compost. So I got that. I have some plastic to hold in the moisture and some tape to hold the plastic. And then, of course, I've got my trusty stand so that you guys can watch me as I do this. All right, I hope that the wind does not disturb the filming so much, and I'm going to try to speak loudly. Okay, so now what I'm going to do with the bowl, I'm going to fill it with dirt. Not dirt, good soil. Again, this is compost that I made myself. Okay, so now I'm going to cover the entire wound with soil. I'm going to make sure the entire thing is covered with soil. And then close it up. Now, I'm not finished closing it up once this is taped. Okay, now I've just got this on just like this. Okay? And I'm going to stuff even more soil in as much as I can. It's kind of like a funnel here. I'm just going to stuff it as full as I can. Make sure it's on the top and the bottom. I do that by flipping it around so that all the soil that's on the bottom is now on the top. And then I go through and I fill even more soil. All right, at this point, we want to add water. We don't want it to be sopping wet, but we do want it to be moist. We want it to be moist enough to grow roots, but not too moist to drown them out. Okay, we want to make sure that the soil is concentrated up around that wound. Okay, just concentrate it up around the wound. And now that it's concentrated up against the wound, we're going to take another piece of plastic, which I have from one of my feed bags, and we're just going to, well, let me just cut it to the right size. Okay, and now we're just going to wrap it. We're just going to wrap it all the way around. Now, we're wrapping it like we would a wound. We're going to keep out the outside elements, and we're going to keep the inside elements there. And we're going to seal up along the bark there. We're going to seal that pretty good. Okay, so now this extra layer of plastic is going to help keep in that moisture that we put in there. Okay. Now, I don't use aluminum foil in the kitchen, but that doesn't mean that aluminum foil doesn't have its uses. Now, in order for roots to grow, they prefer darkness. So, I help make them dark. And the reason I like to use aluminum foil is because I can get this in tight and really squeeze around the bark to help create a really good seal. Now, you can use fabric if you want in order to create that darkness. But one thing that's really important is to have this seal right here. You have to have that seal. It keeps out the light and it helps keep the moisture in. Now, if you use fabric, you have to be very careful about rain and wet, because that fabric will mold or it will hold moisture, which will then hurt the branch and ultimately hurt the tree. Therefore, I recommend using aluminum foil. It's inexpensive, and you can wrap everything tightly, and it's waterproof. And another thing it does is, the sun comes in the morning and it hits, and the sunlight is reflected back. So it keeps the area cool, because you have to keep this cool as well. It cannot overheat. So this reflects the sunlight back. It helps to keep it cool. And aluminum foil is also insulating, which means that, let's say it gets really cold out, well, this will also help keep the branch from getting too cold, and it'll help keep the soil at the right temperature for growing roots. So I know this is the second time I've made a video on this. I had a lot of questions. People asked a lot of questions, asking for more detail. So this is it. This is about as much detail as I can give, because this is it. This is all that's to it. It's very, very simple. So instead of just pruning your tree and discarding the branches, well, why don't you just go ahead and make a new tree out of it? You can give it as a gift. Maybe you can sell it to somebody. I prefer to give them as gifts. And the advantage of this is that this branch is already producing fruit, and I know exactly what kind of fruit it is producing. And that is a huge advantage. Another advantage is that trees made from branches like this do very, very nicely in large buckets. So you can have a really nice, productive fruit tree in a very, very large bucket on your balcony. Or, if you're renting, or if you don't have space for another tree, this is a solution. Now, let's say that there's somebody who has a tree that you like. And if there's an option to take a branch, it can be a branch. This is more or less the maximum size branch that I personally would take. I wouldn't take them too small, because if you take them too small, I don't know how developed they are. I don't have experience with that, but this is the right size. So if you know somebody who's thinking, oh, maybe they need to prune their tree, or they can spare a branch, and you really like their tree, try it. This is a great alternative. It's not wasting anything, and you know exactly what you're getting. What is the process the tree will undertake now? Under this foil, we have darkness and we have soil. The tree is injured. There's no light, and there's no way for the bark to heal itself in the air. For example, we had very strong winds, the branch was heavy, and the branch broke. You see that? And I didn't notice it because it happened in deep winter, and maybe I wasn't even home, I don't know. But by the time I noticed it, it was already healed. And the reason that it could heal is because there was air, there was light, there were all the necessary ingredients for the tree to heal itself. Take a look here. The bark fell, okay, the branch fell, and the two pieces of bark fused together. And that's fine. But here, there is no air, there is no sunlight, there's no way the bark can heal itself. So the best way for the tree to heal itself would be to grow roots. There's soil here, and it says, that's pretty good soil. And considering that's good soil, the conditions are right for growing roots, I'll grow roots. And the branch that has been damaged will simply become a new tree. And that's the process that's going on under there. And that is what you're doing in order to create a new tree. Until next time.